In May 2025, Phil Mafah, also known as 3-7 Mafia, signed a 4-year deal with the Dallas Cowboys worth $4.3 million. A year earlier, he scored 4 rushing touchdowns at the Gator Bowl, including a game winner with 17 seconds left, and broke a Clemson record that had stood since 1988. But in 2002, before any of that was possible, doctors said 3 words to his parents that almost erased everything. What they told him will change how you see this man forever. But before we break this down for you, be sure to hype the video and hit the subscribe button. And with that, let's go. So how does a man who ran over 1,000 yards in college football and scored his first NFL touchdown as a Dallas Cowboy come within inches of never existing at all? You see, this all starts in West Africa, a country called the Ivory Coast. Phil's dad, Eugene, and his mom, Suzanne, both came from there. Eugene made it to New York City in the late 80s. He sold African art and fabrics. He did what he had to do to make it work, but the city wasn't safe. Too much was going on. Drugs, crime, wasn't the kind of place to raise kids, if you know what I mean. So he packed everybody up and moved them out to a small town outside Atlanta called Logan'sville, Georgia. It was quieter, safer, and he was described as a big man with a big personality. And Suzanne, she was the heartbeat, the homemaker, 7 kids, 4 girls first and then 3 boys. Phil, he was the baby, and that house ran on 2 things, faith and generosity. They were always taking people in. Phil's sister Ina said it best. Somebody comes to town and one of them is already sleeping on a couch. That was the Mafah house. Suzanne taught her kids scripture. Phil's favorite verse came from her, John 13:7. You do not understand now what I am doing, but later you will understand. Phil was born October 24th, 2002 in Logan'sville, Georgia. Since his family was from the Ivory Coast, it was only natural that the first thing they put in front of him was a soccer ball. He kicked it around in the front yard with friends for years, but in 3rd grade, he wanted to play football, and that's when he met a coach named Mickey Kahn. Phil was 7 years old, just a little kid looking through his face mask, trying to figure out what this grown man was yelling about. Kahn coached him in local youth league all the way through 7th grade, and this whole time, Kahn was already the head coach at the local high school, Grayson. He ran the program for 16 years, won 137 games. And here's the detail that matters later on. Mickey Kahn played college football at Alabama with a guy named Dabo Swinney.
Boy, how can you complain? Completed pass there. Is that Dabo Swinney?
It is,
Same team, 1992 national champions. That same Dabo Swinney went on to become the head coach at Clemson. Now remember that. Phil got to Grayson High School and just took off. His sophomore year, he put up 720 yards and 10 touchdowns. Junior year, he broke his collarbone, missed 4 games, and still averaged 10 yards a carry. 676 yards on the broken collarbone. Then senior year, that's when he went crazy. 1,130 yards, 130 carries, 8.7 per touch, 18 touchdowns, 5 games over 100 yards. One night against a team called McKeecher, and he went for 222 on just 16 carries. Grayson went 14-0, won the Georgia State Championship in the biggest division in the state. When you add it all up over 3 years, the numbers don't even look real. 2,526 rushing yards, 288 carries, 8.8 yards per carry, 37 touchdowns, and 1,000-yard games in 29 career starts. Video game stuff. Everybody noticed. All the big recruiting sites ranked him as one of the top running backs in the entire country. 4-star recruit across the board. Schools were lined up. Big programs, the kind of programs that don't lose recruiting battles in the state of Georgia. And the easy move would have been to just stay home. Go to Georgia. Go to Auburn. Nobody would have even blinked. But at 16 years old, August 2019, Phil committed to Clemson, the first kid in their 2021 class. And here's the thing. He knew a 5-star running back named Will Shipley was coming too. One of the most hyped backs in the country, same class. Phil knew he was signing up to split carries with that guy. Maybe sit behind him. He chose Clemson anyways. His relationship with his childhood coach, Mickey Kahn, his trust in that program, that mattered more to him than guaranteed touches. Freshman year, 2021, Phil wasn't even supposed to play. He wasn't part of the plan, but Clemson lost bodies at running back, and suddenly he's on the field. 9 games, 1 start, 68 carries, 292 yards, 3 touchdowns. A true freshman who wasn't supposed to see a snap, breaking off big runs in conference games. You could see it. The raw material was NFL caliber, but Phil didn't get the fast track. He got what his parents had been teaching him since the Ivory Coast. patient. 2022, he's Will Shipley's backup. 98 carries, 515 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did his job. He didn't complain. And then 2023 hit and everything changed. They became a real tandem. And Phil didn't just keep up with Shipley. He outraced him. 965 yards to Shipley's 827. 3 fewer starts and he still had more yards. 13 rushing touchdowns. 21 catches for 108 yards. The two of them become the first Clemson backfield duo to each crack 750 yards since 2 Clemson legends named C.J. Spiller and James Davis did it back in 2007. Remember the name C.J. Spiller? He shows up again later. Phil and Shipley were roommates, best friends, and Phil never once went to the media asking for more carries. Not once. Then came the Gator Bowl against Kentucky. For people who don't know, bowl games are the big postseason college football games. And this is where Phil Mafah introduced himself to the world. Down 11 in the fourth quarter, most teams fold. Clemson didn't. Phil scored 3 touchdowns in the final period. The last one was with 17 seconds left. Game winner. 4 rushing touchdowns in 1 game. That broke a Clemson Bowl record a former player named Tracy Johnson had held since 1988. It was the first time any Clemson player had scored 4 rushing touchdowns in a game since Clemson legend C.J. Spiller did it back in 2009. Phil took home co-MVP, and after that game, everybody knew the name. Will Shipley left for the 2024 NFL draft, and now it's Phil's turn. His teammates voted him permanent team captain. He started all 14 games, and in Game 2 against Appalachian State, he tore the labrum in his left shoulder. For those who don't know, the labrum is the cartilage that holds your shoulders together. Tear that, and your arm is basically hanging loose every time you take a hit. And you know what? He didn't even tell anybody. He just put on a brace and kept on playing. Dabo Swinney, his head coach, the same guy who played with Mickey Conn at Alabama, didn't say a word about it publicly until December. Through the first-time games, Phil was averaging 109 rushing yards a game, 980 yards in 9 contests. He was cooking, but the shoulder was getting worse, and off the field, something even worse was happening. His mom was fighting cancer. She couldn't make it to a single game his senior year. The last 5 games told you everything the stat sheets couldn't. His average fell from 109 yards a game down to 26.8. Against Pitt, 17 carries for 17 yards. Against the Citadel, 3 carries for 14. The conference championship game against SMU, 13 carries, 28 yards, 2.2 per carry. And then the college football playoff. First round, Texas, he made it into the field for 10 snaps. Then the shoulder gave out for good. Clemson lost 38-24. But here's the thing nobody even bothered to look at. What was Phil Mafah actually carrying on that shoulder? Because it wasn't just a torn labrum. In December 2024, Phil had shoulder surgery. He was going to do whatever it took to be ready. But then the worst thing imaginable happened. In January 2025, his mom, Suzanne Mafah, lost her battle with cancer and passed away. Phil was devastated. And this is where I need to tell you something. Remember at the beginning of this video when I told you doctors said 3 words to his parents that almost erased everything? This is what happened. In 2002, while Suzanne was pregnant with Phil, doctors found what they called a malformation. They told Eugene and Suzanne 3 words: terminate the pregnancy. That was their medical recommendation. End it. But Suzanne looked those doctors in the face and said, "I want my baby." She signed a form taking full responsibility for whatever happened. And Phil was born perfectly healthy. That same woman, the one who fought for his life before he even took his first breath, she was gone. Phil's Uncle Jeff said it best. It almost feels like Moses not getting to see the promised land. She would never get to see her youngest son get drafted and reach his dream. But Phil kept moving. He went to the NFL Scouting Combine, which is the big showcase where every draft prospect works out in front of every team. But he couldn't do any of the drills. His shoulder wasn't ready yet. He couldn't do the Clemson Pro Day either, which is when scouts come to your campus and watch you run and lift in person. 2 of the biggest stages for guys trying to get drafted, and he was standing on the sideline watching. He held a private workout April 8th for a handful of scouts. C.J. Spiller, the same Clemson legend from earlier, was now Phil's running back coach. He ran every single drill right beside Phil, bent down barking in his ear with every single rep. Phil's fiancée, Katana, a sprinter at Syracuse, cheered him on from the side. The scouting reports still weren't kind. Scouts wondered if he was anything more than a short yardage guy. No blazing 40 time, no combine number, and no pro day number. By the time day 3 of the draft came around, the book on Phil Mafah was already written. This is a guy who wasn't supposed to be born, and every single year since, somebody told him to wait. He's still waiting, but he's also not giving up. And then came draft day. 238 names were called while Phil was sitting at home with his family and his fiancée. The possibility of going undrafted was real and he could feel it. But then the phone rang. It was Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Coming in at pick 239 in the 2025 NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys selected Phil Mafah, running back Clemson. One person was missing from that room, Suzanne Mafah, the woman who told the doctors no. And not getting to see the promised land, Phil said afterward that just for the Cowboys to take a chance on him, it meant a lot. He said it felt like a perfect place, and Dallas needed him. Their starting running back, Rico Dowdle, left for the Carolina Panthers in free agency. Big hole at running back. They signed veterans Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders to fill the gap, but those were short-term fixes, not the future. Dallas drafted 9 guys in 2025. The headliner was Tyler Booker, a first-round guard out of Alabama who made an all-rookie team. And at 6'1", 234 pounds, Phil Mafah was the Thunder. Phil took number 37. The Cowboys hold training camp out in Oxnard, California every summer, and the fans out there gave him a nickname before he played a single regular season snap. 3-7 Mafia. Fan favorite at camp. In the preseason, he went 15 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown against the Rams. And he said something at camp that stuck with people. This is the first time I'm in pads with a good shoulder. But unfortunately, the shoulder wasn't done with him. Phil got placed on injury reserve, which means he was shut down and couldn't play while he healed up. He waited again. They activated him in week 18, the last week of the regular season. His NFL debut. New York Giants, 5 carries, 18 yards, and his first career NFL touchdown. 1-yard run. He caught 2 passes for 11 yards too. And here's the thing, in that one game, he did exactly what you want a back of his size to do. He ran hard, protected the ball, and finished the drives. The Cowboys staff saw a guy who powered through contact and moved the chain. At 6'1", 234 pounds, that's a back who can close out games for you. Short yardage, goal line, and fourth quarter when you need to run that clock out. That's Phil Mafah's role, and I think he can do it on an NFL level. And don't forget what he did before the injury. In the preseason, he powered through defenders for a 15-yard gain that had people talking. He finished the preseason with 15 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown. The Cowboys' own website says his rookie season was derailed by injury after an impressive camp and preseason, and the Phil Mafah is starving to show what he can be in year 2. Phil Mafah goes into 2026 training camp with a real shot at real carries. First time since 2023, he'll be healthy. First time in his life that nobody's telling him to wait. Doctors said he shouldn't be born. Coaches told him to wait his turn. Scouts said he couldn't run. His mom, she said he could do anything. And then she was gone before anyone else believed it. Number 37, Phil Mafah, Dallas Cowboys. Be sure to hype the video and subscribe. And with that, I'm out. Peace.